Check it out. Welcome to the G-Lew Show After Hours. This is Changing the Game with G-Lew and the beautiful Deandra Chanel. Tonight we got a very special guest. The homie Stroe 1 is in the building. Changing the game. Let's go.
Jump in the rhythm with an abundance of venom and summon the cynicism. I'm running with the unforgiven while you run from the mission. Up in my dividends, up in the kitchen with the fixins and a number of victims simmering. Time will tell how you tussle with tough decisions. They told me time or tell. I told them shit. Where I sign up for prison. See, that's why when I bust a mission, it don't come with no assistance, no additions, no auditions. Grew up in them janky 80s, ain't too much amaze me. You crumble under hanky-panky, can't see who the snake be till they up and bite you. It's all gravy and pastries till they land a handsome ransom on your pretty little wavies. Basically, you got the right stuff or the price is right stuff. Don't lighten up, tighten up, let the fight inside of you rise up. I aid the rebels via bass and treble. Nowadays, I face my devils on a more sophisticated level. I'm just a vessel, the depth of the heavy mental make a rapper.
Talked about this all week. We talked about it a lot.
Who that?
Yo, it's Dopey. Let's do this, Stroe.
Alright, yeah. West. 1, 2. We live it up. All day. Now let me lace you on a section I'll be dwelling in.
Yeah, we are back. It is Changing the Game with G-Lew and Deandra Chanel. That was just a taste of our guest tonight, giving you a preview. But without any further ado, I am G-Lew. That is Deandra Chanel, and we are changing the game.
Hello. How's it going tonight?
What's up, Deandra? How you doing?
Good. I'm really excited about tonight's guest.
First, hold up. First, tell the people, because a lot of people tuned in now that we had a change up at the last minute. Tell them. We got to owe that to the people. There's some people in here, may be confused. So tell them what's up with that first.
Okay. So unfortunately, our buddy, our original guest, Bo Henderson, was not able to make it with us tonight. So we were able to get a guest in that is just as amazing, just as legendary, Stroe of Project Blow. So he will be with us tonight, and we will be rescheduling both for another day. So you guys be on the lookout for that.
Okay. Just had to explain to the chat. There's a lot of people. So just giving we owe them that. So shout out to Bo. He's coming back. We just had to reschedule. But okay, enough of that. Tell them what's going on tonight, Deandra.
So we will be interviewing an amazing man who is part of one of the legendary groups in underground hip hop. And he does have other things that a lot of us don't know about. He's a well-known graffiti artist, and he also does work in the field of mental health. So I want to talk about all of that tonight. So without further ado, shall we bring in Stroe into Changing the Game?
Big Stroe is here.
What up?
What up?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being a part of our platform tonight.
Most definitely. Appreciate you.
So tell us, I find it interesting that you go by two names. So explain to the audience what these two names represent for you. So you go by Stroe 1 and then you go by Stroe. Yeah.
From the looks of this camera, I go by like Grim Reaper or something. But anyway, yeah, he got me like in the car right now. My apologies. But Stroe 1 is the graffiti handle, and Stroe is the MC handle.
So you started off as a graffiti artist before you became a hip hop artist, correct?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about your, because you're a well-known graffiti artist. So tell us a little bit about,
Say that
tell us
again. I'm sorry.
about your tell us a little bit about your history when it comes to your graffiti work.
Okay, so as far as graffiti, I started doing graffiti in don't make me date myself. in in let's say late 80s.
Okay.
And that was my first love, and I started writing at a school called Oval Wright Junior High School. Um there was a lot of dope, well-known artists that went to that school, so that I studied under. And then when I got to my home school, which is Audubon Junior High, I got further deeper into graffiti with a side of raising ruckus, right? But it was all I always was intrigued with the art form.
Okay.
Mm.
So would you say, because obviously for those of us who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, graffiti work has a bit of a stigma. So would you say that in the graffiti world, when you first started, that it was more frowned upon more than anything, or would you say that it was celebrated when you were working on it?
Um, I would say it was not as accepted back then, um, but it was a precursor to a lot of people's coming into in regards to, like, a lot of us went to gangs and joined full on sets, but everybody had a love for graffiti. You know what I mean? So yeah, it wasn't acceptable as it is now. Now you can look on the internet and find it. But you really had to be tapped into the culture to understand, like, what style came from where and who's who and what crew is what. And graffiti goes back to long time. It's like territories tell stories. So you had to be able to, like, read the walls to see where you're at, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background growing up. Who is Stroe One?
My background growing up was like the movie Baby Boy. Um, Actually, the movie was filmed one block over from where I grew up at, which is on 10th Avenue in Vernon. So it was like, single mother. And then I had a stepdad who I didn't like. I really didn't like it at first because, like, I witnessed a lot of domestic violence and stuff. A lot of young brother stories similar. So I grew up in a Crip infested neighborhood, and yeah, single parent household. I'm the oldest out of two siblings, brother and my sister, and yeah.
So Stroe One, tell us how you came up with the name.
Um, well, at first I was writing uh Mestro, Mestroe, because I had a homie named Maestro, but I didn't want to, having the same name as someone is a no. But I didn't start writing that name until, like, later in the game though, like 90s. I ran through a few names, and I was a two for a minute. When I say a two, I was up under somebody. I was their name number two. He was kind
Mm,
of like a big homie. His name was Rain One. Rest in peace. We were from a crew called NBT back in the days.
okay. So you have a biggest accomplishment coming up. You're going to be working on a mural for Crenshaw, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that project that you got coming up.
Um, in regards to that project, I will be doing that with my crew called RTN Rockin' the Nation, and it is a predominantly black graffiti crew out of LA that's been around since the early '80s. And the Crenshaw Wall has a lot of history behind it. It's been painted a few times, but it's kind of like a monument in my area. So I'm pretty excited to be doing the repainting of it. And we had a Zoom meeting with Destination Crenshaw like about 2 days ago, and everything got officialized and stuff. And it sounds very exciting.
No, I'm sure you're very proud because, I mean, Limmer Park being your area, I'm sure you're proud of being able to be selected to be able to repaint that wall. I'm sure it's an honor.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely.
So I'm going to kick it over a little bit to my co-host, G-Lew.
Okay.
Monstro, what up, homie?
What's happening with it?
It's all up, bro. Man, speaking on your graffiti love history and all that, and like you said, in the late '80s, being a graffiti artist, tell us about the importance of that, because I came up in that era, and graffiti was just like the shit. You know what I mean? Like you said, you speak on the gangs and all that. You had the gangs that were there, and a lot of people after graffiti or taggers, whatever, became in gangs because it became infested. But in those times right there, tell us about the importance of being a graffiti artist and the difference of a real graffiti artist, a tagger, or whatever the case may be, the importance of what that was at that time.
Well, um, we all started as taggers. There's different levels to it. Graffiti, it was just like the craze at the time in the '80s. New York had the subways. We had the RTD bus, which is now the MTA
That's
Metro.
right. RTD.
Um, yes, exactly. So everybody was on it, man. And in that area, we had Slauson Boulevard, which also had a lot of walls that were pieced up, and a lot of graffiti artists got down on those walls. So every time I'd be in the backseat of the car when my mom's driving, I would always pay attention to what's new on the Slauson walls. Um, so some people were in it for the trend. Some people were in it for the long haul. Some people were in it just to kind of be a part of. It was a place where we all could. It was like a culture that we all could go with no judgment.
Right.
But the thing about an LA writer of that time, we're a different breed, considering that we still had the gang mentality, but we were just into graffiti. So we had enemies and beefs and rumbles and all that. And we're just a different breed.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, like with the, I want to get into that too. Like you said, a different breed, but even like you said, being a tagger and the levels of it, but like you said, the RTD back then, tell us about the importance of that, and like you said, that's how people got their name. That's how you knew of other people from different areas, different parts of the city, by getting hit up on the buses, or especially the buses, because you would ride the buses everywhere. You would see the hit ups, and tell us the importance of that and what that meant to a writer at that time, getting hit up a lot.
Well, it was very important because the name of the game is to get up and have recognition.
Right.
We would sometimes meet at this spot called the 40 Stop, which is a bus stop by Audubon. Before school, we would all meet there and just ride on the bus all morning until we had to go to class. And then we would also see other people who were riding elsewhere, like, oh, they're up. That means we got to get up more. And It's
Right.
like the whole camaraderie of it was very exciting, you know. And we would have like little battles and stuff. And unfortunately, eventually the guns came into play and fools started like getting jumped and all kind of other things transpired from that, you
Right.
know. But there are different areas of the bus that were known to be up in, which is like we had the driver's side, the front windshield, the destination, the grill, the rooftop, different areas of the bus that were like key spots. It was like a point scale. Like,
Right.
oh, he got a destination. Oh, okay, that's ultimate because that's right in front of the bus.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? The more the risks, the higher the
Right.
points.
Right.
How
Hey,
I
hey,
see it.
Stroe, speaking on that, the risk, tell us, because some people may not understand even what you're saying and how that was done. The risk was people would be that bold, like you said, when the bus pulls up and stops at a stop, you would literally jump in front of the bus driver and all, and hit up right on the windshield, shit like that. Tell us the risk and how dangerous or how bold that shit was.
Exactly, man. Because you got all the passengers on the bus, and you got the bus driver. You got traffic going by, and possibility the police coming, and you bold enough to get in front of the bus and right on the destination, you was the man.
Right.
You was a killer, in regards to the bus.
Right.
And it was a big risk. Few fools went to jail over that shit, and you know, it was just what we did. And we were also frustrated young black youth in a conditioned area. And that was one of our reliefs of our frustration. Whether it was positive or negative or healthy or not was another story. But this was what was keeping our attention, and how we release our aggression. Ironically, it's by being destructive ultimately, but
Right.
it's what we did. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Let me ask you this, Stroe. Who were some of the people? Um, I mean, again, it's like you said, it's levels to, what I mean, what you do, levels how you moved up, came better. But who were to you some of your, I don't want to say idols in the writing game, but people you looked up to or respected, or even as you became to become the man you were in the game, like people you would see up and respected them if they were from different areas or whatever. Because at times people got up, some people got more recognition than others. I don't know how that felt. Even like the Shaka dude, you know what I mean? Who did you like respect in the game?
Well, as far as I could think back in my early days of writing, I used to admire this cat named Kaser.
Kaser.
And
I remember that name.
yeah, and he was from a crew called TSK, which stands for the Slauson Clan. Now, naturally, Kaser eventually got on 6-0,
Okay.
and he was up and down Slauson, and all on the buses. He used to mob, he used to kill.
Right.
So he's one. Of course, my big homie Rain One, rest in peace. Now these fools ended up like they turned gangsters, but they were really clean with the graffiti shit.
Right.
They were actually about it. It's just that they ended up becoming a product of the machine. You know.
Right. Right. And speaking on that, and before I turn it back over to Deandra, because I could go all day with the writing shit. You know what I mean? Because I come up in that. But tell us how also too how ones that were writers, taggers, how the gang shit, because like you said, it's a difference to people really love it and stay true to it. But tell us how real it was, how the gangs engulfed and kind of took over a lot of the writers. A lot of people became from gangs, right? A lot of the taggers from back in the day.
Yeah, because some of them, some of the writers had their spot reserved in sets before they even got into writing. You know what I'm saying? You talking about kids that they daddy bang, they mama bang, you know what I'm saying? They just grew up in it and shit. And in the area that they live. It's like when, if a gang see you making a lot of noise and being like real rebellious and shit, they start looking at you like a prospect. And some people join to be a part of, some people join out of fear. You know what I mean? But it's different in our culture because in the Hispanic culture, I believe the gangs they gangs look down on writers.
Right.
But like in our culture, it's more like you get a pass, like, oh, that's dope, homie. Like stay that, and we'll respect you for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of G's have told me before, like, we respect you from where you at, or where you at. You know what I'm saying? You already from the area. You don't need to be out here like on the front line, shit like that, and working fools if that ain't what you in it for. Do you? And we got you. You know what I mean? So everybody's situation is different. You know what I'm saying?
Right. One more thing before I turn it back. Speaking on writers, gang writing, graffiti writing, or you know what I mean. Tell us the difference in the styles and how they clash and how they came together. How some writers became some of the dopest, gang writers as well, and how those things intertwine. Because you
Yeah.
know how to write
People
stuff.
don't
You gang member, right?
people people don't give the gang strikes their due props because it that's just dope too. That's a dope little factor within itself, gang writing,
Right.
because it's black gang writing and then it's Hispanic gang writing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I can remember seeing the fingers, like whatever set it was, they do their fingers on the wall and the block letters and all that stuff cannot go disregarded if you want to call yourself a well-rounded graffiti person. You understand? You can't look down on that and think it's just about style because that held prevalence as well. See, it goes deeper than just writing on a wall. It's a way of communication,
Right.
visual communication. And you have to be kind of tapped in to take in the environment at that level. You know what I'm saying? And without really having to get out there, you could just read the walls and see what's cracking. Like, oh, they got beef with them now,
Right.
and how to understand the dialect and the terminologies and why they cross out this letter and all that stuff plays into it.
Right. 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 Dope. Dope. Okay. There's Deandra. Go ahead, Deandra.
So I wanted to talk to you about, because as you guys are talking about the gang writing and the tagging writing as a graffiti artist, I was watching an interview that you did, and you were talking about a term of tag banging.
Yeah.
Okay, talk
Um,
about that a little bit, because I'm not a writer. I've never really been into this world. So what exactly is tag banging?
well, tag banging is a term that came kind of later in the game in the '90s, and it wasn't really prevalent in the black communities. It's either you a writer or you a gangbanger. There's no in between. Um, we didn't really come up with that term. So the crew that I was from, called NBT, we had beef with some people and stuff, and there's also another crew I'm from now called KWS. Um, but they stayed like on the graffiti shit. But NBT actually turned into a real set,
That's
and
Troubles, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, no disrespect, but I naturally didn't make that transition with them because of the area I grew up in is a neighborhood area.
Right.
So you know, we were just a like we used to raise ruckus, man, whether it be riding on buses or stealing shit out of stores, or we used to terrorize the bus drivers and all that shit. And some fools ended up on the grid, on the radar of some of these gangs in the area. So they ended up getting courted on, sometimes even against their will. Uh, we tried to start a little thing called the Mert Park Mob, and motherfuckers was getting jumped on that. They jumped me on that. You know what I'm saying? And that's about it. So I am familiar with the whole court arm process. Uh, I think a lot of gangs have gotten away from that. A lot of fools get juiced in, their brother or name dropped in, or just start hanging around and shit. You know, if I'm gonna be from a gang, I'm gonna need a full on cordon, bro. Whatever that entails. You know what I'm saying? I just can't push no set proudly without going through the proper channels of that. I'm kind of getting off the topic. I'm getting into some
Go
more
ahead.
other shit.
Go ahead, bro. Speak.
But yeah, I like to call graffiti. Sometimes I call it gangbangers bratty little cousin.
Hey, let me ask Deandra. I'm sorry. Let me, because he mentioned something about like the whole MBT thing, how it turned to troubles. You know what I mean? Is that, because that is kind of rare, even though a lot of people will probably go into a actual gang. You know what I mean? Instead of, like you said, MBT making their own gang and then later becoming respected in an official set. Was that initially kind of frowned upon or not respected at first? Like, how did they really make that transition to become accepted and not become full on like Hoovers? Like, how did that happen? Because that is rare.
Yeah. From what I hear, I don't really know because I really wasn't in the forefront of the transition.
Right.
But they went under the gangster card at first, and which is kind of cousinish to the criminal card.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't really tell you the story of how they landed under the Hoovers, but they, from what it looks like, they was able to maintain their presence amongst all that and be respected as gangster Crips. From what I see, from what I observe.
Right. Got you. I didn't mean to even, but I was always curious about that because that is rare to make that transition and be accepted without being just a part of Hoover. And even though they're a gangster car, they're more, seems more Hoover than anything because they're right there. But I was just
Yeah,
always just curious about that, bro. Thank you.
yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Deandra.
Now, how important was making a name for yourself when it came to kind of risking your life when you were tagging for the dudes that
Um,
were hitting up the high bridges and stuff like that? Like, was that a part of making a name for yourself when it came to the graffiti world?
let's see. We we didn't really do like the freeway signs, nothing like that. Our shit was more so landmarks and the bus. You know what I'm saying? But I've never been on top of a fucking freeway sign. Uh, uh, I think that was more prevalent in the Chicano side of it. I would say that, but I mean, I'm not saying that there are no black riders that have gotten heavens. That's what they call it, heavens. When you get a heaven, you go up on the top of the freeway sign and ride on the back of it. Um, so it wasn't really much life risking when it came to graffiti. The most life risking thing was being on foot in other hoods, tagging on walls at night on foot.
So I'm hearing this a lot. I didn't know that there was a difference between the Hispanic graffiti artist and the black graffiti artist. What is the major difference between the two?
Well, let me see. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. We just have different cultural upbringings. We, as a black culture, we have hieroglyphics dating back to Egypt and like that. And in the Hispanic culture, they have the Olmec, and their communication was like that in the Aztec side of things. So hmm, it's very it is a difference. There is a difference, but I mean graffiti at core. is about diversity. It's somewhere you can go where everybody meets on the accord, and it transcends race and cultural background and stuff like that. We just about this here culture, graffiti, and that's it. But um, I think the two complement each other. You know what I'm saying? At least that's how it should be. But lately, I've been seeing a lot of clicking in graffiti based on race and stuff like that. It's weird. It's weird. It's like a conundrum. You know what I mean? It's a very interesting dialect going on, because some of it conflicts, some of it complements. Little pockets of conflict and complement. The best way to describe it.
What would you say is the change that you've seen over the course of the last 30, 40 years when it comes to the graffiti world?
Um, the change I've seen is that it's become more trendy and accessible. Uh, some people, well, it's important to know your chapters and know your history. Nowadays, a lot of people can pick things up overnight. You understand, and I also see a lot of immaculate painters, really dope painters, but they'll look down on the person who goes out and catches bombs and throw ups. I think it should be all inclusive. Everybody has their part in this culture, whether you be a piecer, whether you be a muralist, whether you be a tagger, whether you do just throw ups. All of it should be all inclusive. You know what I mean? So um, it's a lot of division in it in graffiti these days, and it's become more accepted in society. You can feed yourself off of it. You can go around the world with it, you know, in different countries, overseas, and stuff like that. And you know, New York has always upheld, you know, because graffiti is, at least how I see it. Everybody doesn't see it this way, but graffiti is one of the main elements of hip hop. You got some graffiti artists that don't see it like that.
It was the first, wasn't it? It was one of the first elements.
Correct, because DJ Kool Herc, which is the grandfather of hip hop, was a graffiti writer before he was a DJ.
Right.
So actually, graffiti is at the core of hip hop.
Right.
You know, that's how I see it. That's what I was taught. That's what I was raised up on.
How do you feel about graffiti becoming an art that became monetary, where people were actually paying to have these pieces in their homes?
Well,
When did you start to see that transition?
I can't pinpoint when I started to see that transition. I just know I would say around mid 90s, early 90s, sometimes late 80s, you started seeing it in music videos. Like that's the song "Who's the Mac" by Ice Cube. There was a lot of graffiti in that video. There was a lot of graffiti in "I Ain't No Joke" video, Eric B. and Rakim. And in regards to people being willing to commission and have it in their homes, I think that is a beautiful thing. I think that further solidifies it in a corporate type of setting. However, it'll always be from the streets. And a graffiti artist, me myself, I don't ever want to get to where I'm above the streets, because I get flown places to do murals and all that stuff. The streets are always relevant, because that's where the newest cutting edge stuff comes from, the curb. So you know, you get a lot of, like I say, you get a lot of graffiti artists that get commissioned and do things in people's homes, and they get real wine and cheesy on you and shit, and they get real bougie and start like looking down on, like they can't learn something or something. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful with the ego. So, but as far as it being commissioned is like a household thing, I think that's beautiful.
Do you feel so? I went to a art exhibit for Esteban Oriol, the street photographer, and he was discussing how when they decided to start making his photography mainstream, how people were against it because it seemed like he was selling out. Do you feel that that was also a stigma when it came to graffiti, when you started to see that there were certain graffiti artists that were getting paid for commission to actually have their work bought?
Well, anything you do, someone will have something to say. Let's start there. Any progression you make, there will be naysayers. It's just a part of the game. Really, it's up to if he feels content with what he's doing. Everybody else doesn't matter. You understand? So there will always be someone saying, there will always be someone rooting for you. There will always be somebody rooting for your downfall. There will always be some jealous, someone hating on you, and all that. Those are all opinions. So if he's going mainstream with his photography, then that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. If he gets to the point to where he said he is feeling that he's bigger than the program, like he can't learn it, then that's when it becomes corrupt. That makes sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to change course a little bit, and I want to talk about your work with the community when it comes to substance abuse counseling and therapy for the homeless. How did you get into that?
Through some dark days. 1 second. Step outside here for a second. I got into case management, platforming from substance abuse counseling. I got into substance abuse counseling through, I would say, taking a drug program as a alternative sentence to a jail term. So it's just pretty much just changing my associates and getting exposed to different things. It's all a journey, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How important was it to diagnose? Because I noticed, like, with certain drugs, there are particular illnesses that stem from that drug. Like, a lot of people who have done methamphetamine in the past, a lot of them are schizophrenic or bipolar. During your drug counseling, these are you still currently doing it, by the way?
No, now I'm doing case management. I'm like linking people to substance abuse services.
I see. So when you did it, how important was it with your career to be able to speak on the diagnosis of the actual mental illness itself, as opposed to, because from my understanding with drug counselors, they're trying to teach the addict how to prevent themselves from going back into the drug, and what may have caused the addiction in the first place. But do you guys cover the mental health aspect of it?
Yeah. Well, at the facility that I was working at, a built-in therapist was there. That was a part of the requirements of the program, is having a mental health therapist. And then we had the we had to do assessments and grade our patients on a certain scale and where they would fall. And it's just also it's based on communication among staff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not versed in diagnosing anybody with anything. Um, I'm versed in the disease of addiction, and kind of painting a picture of to the clients of gaining an understanding of what that is. First off, and you know, it's a whole process. Some people feel otherwise. Some people feel that addiction is not a disease, but I feel that the disease of addiction starts in the way that you think, in between your ears. um, so I think it's a spiritual malady, a spiritual disharmony, as well as a mental, I would say, a mental conditioning, and we have to operate from the standpoint of how are you going to live with this rather than how are you going to get rid of it. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually very a thing that is extremely important to know. Like that statement alone in itself is very um intriguing to someone who's not versed in addiction, because living with it as opposed to getting rid of it, because a lot of times there's this misconception that as an addict you'll eventually cure yourself, and a lot of times they always say you will always be an addict. How important is it for the addict themselves to understand that they will be an addict for life?
And, having the right support system around you, you know, I'm trying to see where this window for you guys is. I know I didn't leave the chat, but
No,
I can.
I can still hear you. We just can't see you.
Yeah, pretty much. That's, you know, in a nutshell. Uh, it's about, you know, obtaining new associates
Yeah,
and practicing. Can you hear? You can hear me?
I can hear you, but you sound a little bit further away than you did before.
Okay. All right. How about now?
Much better.
All right. Yeah. So it's just like about learning healthier ways to uh, counteract, and when you have these obsessive thoughts.
Yeah. I do want to ask one more question before we jump into the music. Oh, there you are.
Hmm.
So you're on. Okay, there it is. I can see you perfectly now.
All right.
Okay. So how important is it? Because a lot of times I've heard people with addiction say that they would prefer to have a counselor who has experience in addiction than one who does not. How important is it for the drug counselor themselves to have the experience as an addict in order to be able to help the addict that they are helping or the patient that they're helping?
Well, it's all based on having a good rapport. So if you can familiarize with your client based on experience, then that will strengthen that rapport because you can normalize a lot of things uh, and paint a clear picture to the client based on experience, actual living experience. That's not to discredit the textbook people, though. Everybody has their part. You can, but I don't think a client would be receptive coming in and detoxing from heroin. They don't want to sit here and read a book. You know, they want someone to connect with, someone who could speak to their spirit. You know what I'm saying? Based on experience. I've had clients that I've had that went into the field. and doubled back and thanked me and for the little talks and my groups and things that I learned when I was in treatment.
But we want to thank you for the service of actually helping people who are trying to recover and trying to change their lives based off of their past and addiction. That's very commendable of you. Thank you for that, by the way.
I appreciate you.
I do want to jump into the music. So you are part of the legendary Project Blowed. Tell us how you started, how you went from being a graffiti artist into hip hop.
Okay. Well, as a graffiti artist, I still consider myself hip hop. But in regards to when I started writing rhymes, I wrote my first rhyme in 10th grade, and I started taking it a little bit more serious when let me see, like mid 90s. So I was already established and seeing myself as an MC prior to Project Blow. Now, I'm Lamert Park first. And then when they started having Project Blow, we would always be up there. But mind you, we'd be up at Lamert. Well, Project Blow happened Thursday night open mic, right? But mind you, we're at Lamert Park Wednesday night, Sunday morning, Monday afternoon. You know what I'm saying? So it was, we were loosely affiliated at first. And we also used to go to the Good Life, which was prior to Project Blow. But the Good Life, it had certain rules, like you couldn't curse. It was a different atmosphere. Project Blow was just all out Shark Tank.
Hey, hold up. Stroe, tell the people
Yeah.
the difference between Project Blowed and Good Life, because sometimes I think they get kind of mixed together, and some people may even think it was the same thing. Like, tell the difference between the two.
Well, like I say, Good Life was more so of a training ground type of talent showish. You understand? Like, however, they had their resident MCs like Freestyle Fellowship, CBE, Rifleman, LA Cool. You know what I'm saying? Kinky Red, G-Lew, Ahmad came through there. It was a lot of hip hop there in the building.
Stroe,
yeah.
let me ask you, I'm sorry, because you keep
It's all good.
I gotta ask, because I always wanted to ask this. You mentioned Skilo and Ahmad. Tell the difference between the two. Even me, at one time, I thought Ahmad was Skilo, or writing for Skilo. Tell the difference between the two, because they're pretty similar.
Yeah, Skilo was more rooted in the Good Life, to whereas Ahmad was loosely affiliated with the Good Life, from what if I remember correctly.
Okay. And for those that don't know, Skilo was the one who made "Wish I Was a Little Bit Taller," "Wish I Was a Baller," and Ahmad was made back in the days.
Back in the days, yeah.
They were kind of similar, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to speak on that. I was
Now,
curious.
which one do you think got more recognition out of those two songs?
Skilo obviously blew up. That was big, MTV every day. But I thought me personally thought Skilo was more like commercialish, like, and Ahmad was more, you know what I mean? Though I don't know that personally, but I'm just saying, like, from the outside, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Play Skilo stuff.
I think I heard both of them on the radio at the same rate. But back in the days was more like
on MTV though. I mean, that's what I mean commercially, because that shit was like on MTV every day, like just like Bust a Move was, damn near. You feel me?
Bust a Move.
I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Back in the days, I heard in more movies.
Yeah. No, I like back in the day. That was more. That's what I'm saying. That was more hip hop rooted to what I'm saying. More like that part, and Skilo was seemed to be more commercialized. That was my point.
Yeah. They were both, in my opinion, both powerful songs and very easy to digest. But back in the days was a little more. They like neck and neck, man. Because back in the days was hella relatable,
Yes.
and I would say it was on the radio more. But Ahmad went on to do other things as well. Like he was in a group with Razkaz, Saphir, Exhibit, called Golden State Warriors or something like that. But they Skilo did that one, and then
I didn't hear much of Skilo though after that as well though.
exactly,
Not knowing, I don't know.
exactly.
I mean,
but Skilo was in the area though. Skilo stayed by Lemur Park and shit. I would see him all the time.
Okay.
I mean, the
I
thing
don't know
is,
where mine was from.
30 years later, and his music is still being played on TV and commercials and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So once you started going to Project Load and with the Good Life, what made you say, like, this is what I want to do? I want to be an MC. This is what I want to do professionally.
Well, I had made my mind up on that outside of Project Load and Good Life, because I had my crew, who were a tight-knit crew of MCs, and we used to call ourselves Rehab Don't Help. And we were a crew of different graffiti writers and MCs and dancers, and we would go as a crew up to the Blow. Now, the Blow had little crews within it as well, but we were never that closely affiliated with them. But now we can look back and be thankful for the whole experience, because I spent my 20s and 30s up at the Blow. Shit. So yeah, we would always pride ourselves in not being too a part of, always staying on our own sauce.
Did you ever consider going mainstream, signing to a label, things like that?
Yeah, we had a independent deal with this company called Czar Casket Records. That was back in like 1998. That's about as official as it got. We had a distribution deal, and we were in them right rooms, right branches, instead to where we could be mainstream. But see, every MC is not meant for mainstream. A lot of us rap casts are really set in our ways, and we're not open to writing music for the listener all the times. A lot. If you could rap good, but that don't mean you can make a song good.
Mm-hmm.
And fools wouldn't understand the discipline it takes to be a successful mainstream act. But of course we all considered it deep to ourselves. But of course we got into the Estevan Oriole syndrome. Like, I don't want to sell out. So yeah.
Hey, do you think it's always been a divide? Sorry, Deandra, speaking on the divide with the MC type artists, you know what I mean? Free, like shit like that, opposed to a mainstream artist, because it seems like it's only a few that has broken through that. You know what I mean? Your Eminems and Razkaz, and a few people that have kind of broken out. But that's always been a stigma, even with Crooked Eye, as hard as he is. You know what I mean? He was never able.
A beast.
Exactly, but is not able to been able to break through commercially or to that level, and it seems like there's always been a stigma to this day, where it's a separation with those type of artists opposed to mainstream artists. And to the outside, it's just they seem like, okay, that artist can't make a song. They could just rap good, but they can't make a good song. What do you think has always been the division and separation with that, and how do you feel about that?
Well, if you want to, especially if you are black, if you want to be mainstream, you have to feed the machine in some way or the other. I do believe there is an agenda set in place of what they want us to hear and what they want to influence us in our youth. And that will determine, not fully, but it will determine your success. That makes sense. I don't want to take nothing away from Eminem, because that fool is a really dope writer and a really solid MC, man. Fools don't want to give him his props.
Right.
But I do think to an extent the the Caucasian card did play a factor in it.
Oh, definitely. And that he had Dr. Dre on top of that. But yeah, I definitely understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Because we would have to feed the machine.
Right.
You know, because I have a homie named Otherwise that battled Eminem long ago and got with him and ended up getting a meeting with Dr. Dre. Shout out Otherwise though. But
Otherwise,
he would often tell me like, yeah, he was like, otherwise, the Dr. Dre was like, yeah, man, you need to put on these khakis, put on these chucks. I don't give a fuck about a rap and all that. You know what I'm saying? So things are packaged into easily digestible, bite-sized little packages, and a lot of MCs lean more towards their artistic vice than understanding that marketing aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I would say that a lot of the MCs, they do it for the love of the music as opposed to the commercial success.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why they really didn't focus on the marketing, because they're doing it for the love of the music. I mean, and at this point, whenever you hear about Mr. CR, and about the rest of the MCs that were with Good Life and Project Road, you guys are looked at as legends in the underground community.
Yeah.
Because you did it for the love of the music. How does that make you feel to be seen as a legend in the underground community?
First off, I often lose sight of it because I'd be so deep in my creative process, and really a lot of terms get passed around easily. Like fools crown themselves king and like boss, all these terms, you know. But it's when you get the recognition from the people is when it holds actual weight. Their response to you, to what you're doing, is to label you a legend. Then that is what you take pride in. I appreciate it, man. I'm grateful for it. I love it because it hits me. It reminds me when I'm not looking for it, and it's like I'm like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Wow, I'm glad somebody is getting something from what I do. You know what I mean? Me and CR often get into conversations about we're just studying the atmosphere of hip hop currently, what works. You know, make music for the people, not for other rappers. We try to be well rounded. You know what I'm saying? I just left CR actually. We had practice tonight for the show Friday.
shout out to CR, man.
Shout out to the homie Mr. CR, man, who's got a lot of music. Really dope.
Speaking of which, when you're done with that, let's talk about your show that you have coming up on Friday.
Okay. But yeah, it's to be labeled a legend in the graffiti community as well as the MC scene. I guess I'll call it that because they're both hip hop. So man, I'm just grateful. It makes me want to make more dope shit. You know.
Do you feel like there's anything that you want to accomplish, whether it be as a graffiti artist or as an MC, that you have not accomplished? Any particular people that you wanted to work with, write with, things of that source?
I can't really think of anyone off top that I'm like dying to work with. I've been blessed to work with some fellow legends in my community. Shout out Micah Nine, AC Alone, Self Jupiter, Peace, Freestyle Fellowship. I just worked with Battle Cab.
Oh man, that's what I was going to ask you about, Battle Cat, but I'll wait.
Yeah, that's Crenshaw District right there, though.
Man, the best to me.
But yeah, let me see. I've worked with Killer Priest. Well, Psycho Les. Shout out. Would have liked to work with Doom. I'm willing to do. I know it would bring something out of me if I was to work with Crooked Eye. It would definitely test my pen. You know what I mean? Because that fool is like,
beast.
Really dope. Man.
Hey, are you familiar with the homie? I gotta ask you this. I know you come from back. Hey, the homie Mark 7.
That's the homie from RTN.
Yeah,
that's we finna paint the Crenshaw.
Man, okay.
That's that nigga Mark 7.
That's my guy, man. I go way back with Mark 7. Like we used to work at the Fedco right there on La Cienega, and
yeah,
right there back in the day. And I remember he was rapping then. We used to free, and he was always a graffiti artist as well. But you know what I mean, that's my guy. So I had to ask about Mark 7. Much love to the homie.
Definitely. Shout out to Mark 7, man. He's the one, he participated in painting the Crenshaw wall way back, man. Like when they painted that Uzi on it with Ice-T.
Right.
And the nigga Kev Mack was painted on it and shit.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, man. Mark 7 is a legend for real.
It's the guy, man.
Real.
The guy. Shout out to good dude too. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Deandra. I'm sorry.
When you guys repaint, it's open to the public to go and see you guys as you work?
Yeah, it'll be media coverage, and you can come down to the area and watch us paint. I believe there'll be a celebration after which there'll be some city recognition, and they were talking about like having like a little I wouldn't say souvenir shop, but like kind of like a monument or something where they can display the timeline of as we were painting it. Everybody had a different story. It's gonna be some official shit. I walked away from it like, damn. Okay, well, I'm finna step in this shit. I'm gonna have to bring my A game. So it's gonna be some real big.
When is this happening?
We're aiming to start in March of 25.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool. Well, let us know when exactly the official date will be down there. Well, I'll be down there getting some nice footage for you so we can get you some stuff.
Appreciate that.
So let us talk about your show for September 20th at the Garden Amp.
Okay. We have a show at the Garden Amp. We've performed there many times. We'll be opening up for Bone Thugs and Harmony. Funny story about Bone. Their first producer, DJ Unique, he produced their. I believe he had something to do with the production of their first album. His mother stayed on the block I grew up on, and she's like very like a hood auntie, go to Easter egg hunts, fish fries, block parties, you know what I'm saying? All the kids knew her. But I used to go to her house and she used to have Bone plaques on her wall from Tim and shit, from DJ Unique. But anyway, Friday, Garden Amphitheater would be opening up for Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Dope. That was dope.
Who are you going to be performing with?
I'm going to be performing with Mr. CR and the West Coast Creations.
That's dope, bro. Congratulations, homie.
Appreciate you, bro.
You have some projects coming up soon, right? That you're working on currently?
Yes, I just dropped the video for the song called "It Ain't No Game," produced by DJ Battlecat. It also features DJ Battlecat, and it also features Brit 11X, the Human Chandelier, and she's a part of a crew called Hip Hop Clan, which is prevalent in Project Blow, and she is the niece of Rifleman LA Cool. Anybody in the underground scene knows who LA Cool is. Shout out Cool.
LA,
But we just released that video, and the single is out everywhere. It ain't no game.
LA Cool. That's a homie's daddy that be on
Oh, Suspect.
Suspect. That's Suspect's pops. For people who don't
Facts.
know. Facts. Homie LA Cool legend, man.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out
All
to
day.
Suspect too. Hey, let me ask this because someone in the comments had a question. They said, has he ever paid in anything up north? I guess in the Bay Area or anywhere. I don't know. I guess that's what
No, I never paid anything in the Bay. I paid something in San Diego not too long ago at their San Diego City College. There's some muralism in there, no graffiti, just like straight portraits and shit.
That's right.
And yeah. People keep urging me to go to the Bay. I'm really excited to go. I want to go check it out.
Have you ever been tapped in, speaking on the Bay, to their graffiti community in any aspect?
No, I know my homeboy Rezik moved to the Bay for a while. He's from a crew called MTA.
Okay.
And he stayed up in the Bay for a while. The homie Kufu from UTI is in the Bay, I believe.
Is that Under the Influence? I remember them back in the day.
Yeah, I'm from UTI.
Hey, man, UTI was hard back in the day. If that's the same UTI in the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah, they were official. What is the Bay graffiti like I'm saying too, the aspect, did you guys see them or respect them in what they did as well? Or were they on the radar in any way?
Yeah, definitely. People would always mention how they getting down in the Bay.
Dope. Dope. And one more question for me, speaking on your music with Battlecat, how did that collaboration come together? And shout out to Battlecat, because as big as he is, he seems to always stay connected and rooted to the streets and the homies, you know, in the underground or people, you know what I mean? I love
exactly.
that.
Yeah, well, my homeboy Namek, who's working with Hen G right now, shout out Nam. He did a song with Cat, and which is pretty dope. They did a whole project. But I've been following Cat's production for a long time, and we go to the same barbershop. Shout out Bougie Barbershop, Q and Tonto. It's a barbershop right there on Crenshaw and Vernon, and we all go.
Okay.
Too. So Razcast played a part in that and told me he would get it Cat as well, and he vouched for me. And I met Cat, and we exchanged music perspectives and area history, like, you know, memories, and you know, with the branches were there. So once I got that solid sit down with him, and he started, and he got a chance to see how I'm coming lyrically, it all came together organically.
Right. Facts. That shit is hard too, bro. I like that. Salute.
Appreciate you.
Go ahead, Deandra.
But we are extremely grateful for you coming onto our platform and blessing us with your presence and letting us and talking to us about all the ventures that you have going on. Like, again, I would have never thought, I had no idea that you were working heavily with like substance abuse patients, which is absolutely amazing again. So
yeah, like I say, I got to there through some dark days, through some setbacks in life, and I chose to make a positive out of it. You know, it all centers around jail and prison and wrong decisions.
See, but the thing is, you have to put yourself in a position to also know that you are hip hop and graffiti royalty,
Yes.
and your whole life has been positivity with a slight setback.
Yeah, every lesson I hold close to me. Every lesson learned, every loss, every win, all of it.
Hey, Stroe,
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you one more thing. How were you able to escape, or not escape, but just because I'm sure it was there your whole life, but not get engulfed into the gang thing and stay true to your art and what you love to do and not get caught up in that, even though I'm sure it was there the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. I was on that path, man, at a young age, because anybody know from my area know about 8th Avenue and Vernon Avenues. That was where I was
Right.
day in, day out as a real early age, young age.
The 40s.
And then, yeah, a lot of my childhood friends and the whole spiel, you lose some and you run into them later in life and all that stuff. So I don't discard that. It's an interesting dichotomy, the gang culture. There is a oneness though that is with it, and you have to be like kind of tapped in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To know what's what, and the do's and the don'ts, and growing up in the hood like that. You know what I'm saying? But when graffiti spoke more to my soul. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I still got love for my area to death, Crenshaw District. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
But see, someone like you, I'm sure, even though you didn't choose that route, the people of that community still respect you as one of their own, as well, the same, right? Without you having to be officially from there, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's just like my homeboy Mozart. Shout out Mozart, K-Dub, UTI. Everybody, he grew up over there by Horseman.
Right.
And I went to Horseman in '88. And that's when that
It was
8
serious.
Tray 6-0 beef was, man, that shit was everyday rumbles.
Right.
But Mo grew up over there in the 8 Trays, and everybody thought he was from 8 Tray, but he stayed on issues like, nah, that wasn't me.
Right.
And in no way is that nigga a buster.
Right.
In no way. That fool was like was a bully at one point.
Right.
But he just stayed on his shit. Like I say, we like a rare breed. Look at Mark 7, grew up deep in the 6-0.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Stayed on his shit. Good friends with Kev Mac. Kind of mentored Kev Mac in the writing.
Yeah, he was on his show. He think Kev did a segment on him, man. That was dope.
Exactly. Had Mark 7, had the homie Castro, CMA. Shout out CMA crew.
Yeah.
Had Create on there, I believe.
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because that's important too, bro. You know what I mean? So I just appreciate this whole interview, man. We got so much like covered and different aspects of what is what's the whatnots and the differences from the graffiti to the music to the gangs. This was very I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I really appreciate this interview, bro, and you giving us your time, bro.
For sure. I also want to shout out the homie Tylo, Tiny Amp. He just dropped a video with Cat as well. That's doing pretty good. We went to his event the other night. I've been knowing Tylo since 2nd grade, man.
Good guy too.
That's another entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying?
Crenshaw by nature. Shout out
exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead, Deandra. Sorry.
No, you're good. Where can we find you on social media platforms?
On Instagram is Stroe STROE_ONER. So I better wake up tomorrow with 30,000 more followers. Now
that's right.
Check that shit the next 5 minutes.
Everybody
Stroe_ONER on Instagram, on Spotify and all digital streaming platforms. Monstro, MONSTROE.
thank you again for coming onto our platform. It was
Thank
truly
you
a
for having me, y'all. I'm
and
sorry I was a little thrown off on the time. We coming from rehearsal. I had so much stuff going on, man, and I kind of lost track. But we
no,
made it happen, right?
thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to even be on our platform. It's a
Yes,
blessing in itself. Thank you.
it was worth the wait, brother. We made it
For sure. And we not gonna mention that I'm a second option. But
happen. Don't even like that. Nah,
we might as well get this nigga on. He ain't doing shit.
nah. You was whatever option it was great, and that's always like because even if it wasn't the second option, you would have been on here eventually, just a different day.
Right. Yeah, I'm clowning, but I really appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
it was dope, bro. I really appreciated this because really we had more in common. I would have loved to have the homie, which we will have from the stylistics, but this was way more in depth. My era, a lot of I related to and was able to learn a few things I always wanted to know. So thank you, bro.
For sure, indeed.
And in the future, if you ever have any projects that you want to promote, any performances, you're always more than welcome to come back. Always.
I really appreciate it, Dean.
So I will be seeing you Friday. Just so you guys know, I will be there covering the performance with Bone Thugs and Harmony. So be on the lookout for footage for that as well.
Dope.
Mon
We'll be in the building.
Stroe 1. Hit him up.
Yes, sir.
Hey, my man, dope. Check out his music, man. The music is fire. And get at him if you guys want your shit. You want murals, you want artwork done. I'm sure, he can negotiate and work out something with you, but just tap in with the homie, man. Good dude, solid dude. You know what I mean? Much love, bro.
Much appreciated. Likewise.
Yes. See you soon, bro. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
Yeah. That's the homie Stroe right there, man. That was incredible right there. Like you said, it was a second option. I didn't mean to put that on the spot. I just wanted to let the people know that we're probably didn't know, were confused. So we had to let them know what happened with that earlier. But man, that was incredible. Deandra, thank you for making that happen. That was incredible.
He was actually supposed to be my very first Instagram live interview tomorrow.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's why I was like, I'm just gonna bump him up to today. We'll kill two birds with one stone. Let's do it. And it obviously it was great for this audience as well.
It was, and for me too. I love when as you can see, I was like a lot of stuff was my era right there. It's a lot of stuff he was saying I related to. So I learned a lot too, that stuff I wanted to know about, had questions about. So that was dope. Really appreciated the homie.
Interview and so insightful on so many things. So next week, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we are doing something a little bit different. And we are going to talk about the experience of the Afro-Latino, and we are going to have a special guest who is going to teach us and talk to us about growing up Black in a Hispanic community and how his popularity has ruffled some feathers because of the way he's choosing to do his content, we'll say. Choco Uno.
Right.
Choco Uno will be our guest for next week. So we're going to talk about the Afro-Latino experience and how his content has caused controversy, but also opened up and warmed the hearts of many. So that's going to be our guest next week.
Dope. So tune in next week for another experience of changing the game with G-Lew, Deandra Chanel, and it's going down. I can't wait to get back. I'm gonna be at all them events with you every week. You be active, girl. Every week.
Well, you better come back out here.
I know. I'm gonna be right there with you. But salute to you, Deandra. Follow Deandra Chanel at her channel. She's a stylist. She'll hook you up, get you looking bright and fresh and fly. You know what I mean? Let them know where they can follow you at.
So they can follow me on Deandra Chanel Steins on Instagram, and then Deandra Chanel on TikTok.
That part right there. Tap in. Shout out to our producer, DD Hairston. Follow her at DD Hairston 100. She got a new book out right now. Political Porn Part 2. Speaking about politics. So make sure you check that out. It's on Amazon. And we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, changing the game. Thank you, Deandra. And Shout out to my guy Jojo, man. Jojo, much love, brother. I know you put your father to rest today. Rest in peace to him, man. We love you, bro. Blessings to you and your family, man. Yep. And with that being said, we're out of here, y'all. Peace and love. See you guys next time. We'll see you Friday for all new interview. Check us out Friday after hours live. We'll be back with an all new interview. That being said, we're out of here. Peace, peace, peace.
Jump in the rhythm with an abundance of venom and summon the cynicism. I'm running with the unforgiven. Why you run from the mission? Up in my dividends, up in the kitchen with the fixins and a number of victims simmering. Time will tell how you tussle with tough decisions. They told me time or tell. I told them shit. Where I sign up for prison. See, that's why when I bust a mission, it don't come with no assistance, no additions, no auditions. Grew up in them janky 80s, ain't too much amaze me. You crumble under hanky-panky, can't see who the snake be till they up and bite you. It's all gravy and pastries till they land a handsome ransom on your pretty little wavies. Basically, you got the right stuff or the price is right stuff. Don't lighten up, tighten up, let the fight inside of you rise up. I aid the rebels via bass and treble. Nowadays, I face my devils on a more sophisticated level. I'm just a vessel, the depth of the heavy mental, make a rapper.